The BMW 1 Series, it's the junior BMW, and this is the all-new one, but it's rather controversial.
That's because BMWs are traditionally rear-wheel drive to make them more fun to drive, and that's the way the 1 Series has always been. But now, power goes to the front wheels, just like all of the 1 Series rivals. In fact, underneath, you'll find the same platform used on the Mini Clubman and the BMW 2 Series Active Tourer MPV.
So, by losing its USP, has the BMW 1 Series become just like every other premium family hatchback and become rather boring? Well, that's what I'm going to be finding out in this in-depth review, and for many more reviews like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, switch on those notifications and leave your comments below.
Here it is then. It's a little wider than the old 1 Series, a little taller, but it's the same length. And because the engine is now mounted sideways to power the front wheels, the bonnet is shorter, allowing for more space inside. As for prices, they kick off at a snifter under 26.5 grand and go all the way up to just over £36,000.
Now, you'll have your own views on the way this car looks, and please do pop those in the comments box below. But for me, I can't help but think this car looks just a little bit too ordinary. If you cover up the BMW badge and the double kidney grille, it just looks a bit too much like any other family hatchback. But that's just my view. Sorry. Now inside, and things have improved a lot over this car's predecessor, and that's for three key reasons. Firstly, it's the design. Now the dashboard is taken straight from the new BMW 3 Series and it looks way more interesting than it used to. Now secondly, it's also the quality. Everything in here feels really very nice indeed. Lots of nice quality materials dotted around the cabin. And thirdly, it's the technology. Now every car comes with this touchscreen system here. It's not just touchscreen, you can also control it with the rotary dial down here. Now BMW's iDrive system is the best in the business. It looks great and it works great. Now Apple CarPlay comes as standard, but only for the first year. If you want it in years 2, 3 and onwards, you're going to have to pay for it. Talking about paying for things, this car's got two technology packs, this press car, each costing £1,500. The first one comes with a head-up display, among other things, and the second one comes with this screen in front of you. Now it doesn't work as well as sort of Audi's virtual cockpit. It's a little bit fussy in my opinion, but it still is a nice addition to this great touchscreen system here. Now the other piece of technology I want to talk to you about is the fact that you can open this car with your phone. Now if you've got a Samsung, you can place your phone against the handle and the car will open itself, and when you get in, if you put the phone in the wireless charging pad there, the car will start itself, and it'll even do that if your phone has run out of battery. Storage, well, there's a couple of cup holders there with a USB charging port, decent sized door bins, good sized glove box, and then under the armrest there's another little cubby with a USB-C charging port as well.
Along with the standard infotainment screen, SE cars get 16-inch wheels, city braking and lane departure warning, front and rear parking sensors, LED headlights and cruise control. Pick of the range is the M Sport with its sportier styling, 10mm lower ride height and leather trim, and sitting right at the top is the M135i.
Back here, and it's a bit of a mixed bag really. That seat is set up in my driving position. I'm over 5'10", and I've got a decent amount of knee room. Headroom, however, isn't brilliant. Now, they've managed to scallop out some space here for headroom, what with this panoramic sunroof, but despite that, it's not brilliant if you are over 6 foot. Admittedly, you can put your feet underneath the seat in front of you and sort of slouch a bit, but it feels just a little bit too tight back here. You can just about fit 3 people back here, but it is a very tight squeeze. Also, this seat base is very flat, so you don't seem to get much sort of underleg support, which is not very good on long journeys. Having said all of that, there is some ventilation down here. We've got 2 USB-C charging ports. We've got an armrest with a couple of little cup holders. Look at this. Very sweet indeed. And we've got easily reachable ISOFIX points with little covers so you don't lose them. Speaking about children, one thing that is worth noting with the 1 Series is that when you open the doors, you've actually got a very wide opening there, which is great when you're loading those child seats.
While the back seats might offer similar levels of space as the old 1 Series, it's in the boot where things really improve. Thanks to that switch from rear to front wheel drive, there's now more boot room. It's larger than a Mercedes A-Classes, and fold the seats down and there's 1200 litres on offer. From launch, you'll be able to get a cooking 118i petrol and a hot M135i with over 300 brake horsepower and 4-wheel drive. For diesel, there's a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder in the 116D and 148 brake horsepower 2 litre for the 118D. There's also 187 brake horsepower 2 litre in the 120D. X-Drive all-wheel drive comes only on the 120D and the M135i.
Now we've got the 118i here, and in the good old days that would have meant there would have been a 1.8 litre engine under the bonnet, but those times have long gone, because under the bonnet of this 118i is a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine. It's the same engine you find in the Mini, Cooper hatch, and in the BMW i8 for that matter as well. And just like in those cars, this is a seriously impressive engine. I mean, it's only under hard acceleration, such as now, do you get that distinctive 3-cylinder sort of warble, but the rest of the time you'd swear this was a 4-cylinder engine. It is so smooth, not rough at all. And in this car, we've got 138 brake horsepower, so it shifts pretty nicely as well. And the general feeling of this car is one of refinement, and that feeling is added to with the gearbox. Now, as standard, this car comes with a 6-speed manual gearbox, but the 116D and the 118i can also come with a 7-speed dual clutch automatic for £1,350. And I have to say, as much as I'm a big manual gearbox fan, this gearbox makes a lot of sense. I mean, it changes gears almost imperceptibly. You really wouldn't know it was doing its business. Of course, you can slot it over to manual, then it kicks down to a sport mode, and you can also change gears manually yourself. Unfortunately, there are no paddles behind the steering wheel, but really that is a very small gripe. The gearbox and the engine work perfectly together. The question you're dying to know: has the switch from rear-wheel drive to front-wheel drive ruined the 1 Series? No, it hasn't. I mean, come on, it's only true petrol heads that properly appreciate it. The vast majority of people who will be driving this car won't know it's rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, because it drives really nicely. It still turns in with a lovely sense of precision. It's backed up with steering that is beautifully weighted, offers a decent amount of feedback. It's not perfect, but it's decent enough. And the whole thing feels very sporty, very agile, and BMW has worked hard on giving this car an extra layer of fun, because when you turn into a corner, for instance a left-hander, the inside brake is just nipped a little bit, just to turn the nose in a little bit more, and vice versa if you turn right. It's just little things like that that make this car far nicer to drive than the Mercedes A-Class. And when it comes to driver involvement, this is probably as good as it gets.
No matter how nice the 118i is, its 47 mpg won't appeal to everyone. The 116D is the most frugal, with a claimed 62 mpg and 100 grams per kilometre of CO2. But the real surprise is the M135i, with a claimed 35.8 mpg and 155 grams per kilometre of CO2. The new 1 Series is a very impressive car, and in many ways is a far better car than the one it replaces. It's more roomy, better made, quieter and more comfortable, and in most situations it's just as fun to drive. If you're after a hatchback with a posh badge on the nose, you're looking at the best. Click left for my review of the Mercedes A-Class, and on the right for our hatchbacks playlist. Subscribe to the channel by pressing the Carbuyer logo, and thanks for watching.